Hi, welcome back to Behind the Masc, a show where we talk about all things men. We're back after a long hiatus. Yes, COVID happened to the world and we had to take a break, but we're so excited to be back, and we're back with a bang, and we're ready to chat about all things men. Today with me is Joseph. Joseph is a practicing engineer, but he's also the man who has had many life experiences. And we're excited to have you, Joseph. Welcome to the show. Thank you. Back again is our consulting psychologist, the smart man himself, Kevin, the man. Welcome, Kevin. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
And I am Emmanuel G, and I'll be your host and facilitator through this session. And I'm excited that we are back to set. Gentlemen, we're back. I'm excited. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about manly things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And today in the show, we are seeking to ask, how has man moved away from an exaggerated form of masculinity, and how we can bring him back to a neutral form. In this show, hopefully we'll be able to seek the answer, or rather to answer this question, using self-awareness. Kevin, being a consulting psychologist, we're going to lean heavily on you for that. No and we're excited to hear what you have to say about that. But at the same time, we're doing that, using, or rather trying to figure it out through how we think about it from an individual perspective, but also from a societal perspective. Mm-hmm. Awesome. With that in mind, let us begin by saying, what does it mean to be a man? What is a man and what isn't a man? Now, we've tried to answer this before, but today hopefully we'll answer it a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. So is it just the biological? Mm-hmm. Is it emotional? Is it what society says? Is it what the Bible says? What does it mean to be a man? Because nowadays that can be challenged quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So gentlemen, what does it mean to be a man?
Mm-hmm. Well, in my opinion, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all criteria or definition. We live in a world that's full of shades of gray, so I think there are multiple definitions of being a man. I would define a man as someone who is in touch with their emotions, someone who is dependable, takes accountability for their actions, is able to allow themselves to feel as well, and can allow themselves to be vulnerable. Yeah. I don't think that's the only definition, for sure. Yeah. But I think that is also part of what we use to define what a man is. Yeah.
You are such an evolved man, because I would never have expected to hear some of those things. A man in touch with his emotions.
We need to change the narrative,
bruh,
No,
we need to change I don't know about that, but Joseph.
Yeah.
What is a man?
Okay, a man is someone who has learned either from their father, from their environment. And for me, being a man is understanding that I came into this world knowing nothing. And any information I have, I will acquire from different sources. So allowing myself to learn from the right sources is what will make me a man. Yep.
So evidently, this is why they got these guys to come to the show, because I was just about to say a man is somebody with an Adam's apple, somebody with a
deep voice,
and that
beard.
A penis and beard, like really a biological sense. Yeah. But I love what you guys have defined, and these are not definitions that we'll find in the commonplace.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, at what age did you experience having ideas of what it means to be a man, and imposed on you by society?
Okay.
At what age? Maybe I can start.
Yeah.
For me, I think I can remember as early as 4 years old. As early as 4 years old, what happened then is, actually it was a little bit 3 years old, but 4 years old I think is when my memory came, I can remember. I think what happened is there was another sibling that was added to the fray. and she looked different, or it looked different, and cuter. So I remember constantly being told I'm the protector, and to care and protect this person. And that now I can't cry, I can't do this, I have to be there for this person.
Okay.
So as early as 4 years old, that was my impression of what a man, which goes into my description of what a man is, a protector. And constantly I remember my parents would say, you know, make sure you get something for the food, because at 4 years old, she was past 6 months old. So I remember I would get bananas and chew them
And give them to her.
and then give them to her and feed her.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes. So that's my earliest experience of, you know,
being a protector
and provider. Yeah, and one who cares. Yeah. Okay. So guys, what was your earliest experience, and what about it, based on society, made you now realize you are a man?
Okay, it's two things. I remember there's a time, I think I was about 5, 6 there, and I remember my extended family was around in our house, and my aunties and my mom were talking about me in the kitchen. So I was curious. I'm wondering, hey, what are they talking about? So I go to the kitchen. So I'm there, I'm listening to them. I spend a significant amount of time there. When I go to the living room where my uncles and my dad was, they were asking me, what were you doing in the kitchen? I'm wondering, what's wrong? Then they're like, the ladies are in the kitchen, the men are here. You should be here. And that's when I was like, okay, so a man is not supposed to go to the kitchen, you know?
Yeah.
In school, I remember there's a time that the girls outperformed the guys in math and sciences. And we were literally shamed for that.
Oh, really?
How can how can a girl beat you in math? You know?
Wow.
And in my mind, and I remember that would make me revise even harder, because I remember thinking, okay, part of being a guy or being a man or a boy
was being a performer.
Being a performer,
And a better
especially
performer.
in math and the sciences.
Okay. She can win in
Dominate
English.
there.
She can
in
win
English, ni sawa, you know. But those sciences and math, you dominate.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I remember, happening at those times, that early childhood. Yeah.
What were your most challenging expectations to meet? What do you feel were your most challenging expectations to meet, based on what you've shared about your personal story?
Well, for me, I think academically, there's a point I'd set a precedent.
Yeah.
And of course, you want to keep that up, you know, and at least keep that up or improve, or try to get better from that, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that it was pressure from my parents or my dad or anything like that.
But the precedent had been set.
Yeah, the precedent had been set. And in school it was always like, you boys need to be, math.
Yeah.
We're competing with other schools. You boys were, we're depending on you to do that. So there was that pressure to keep that up. Yeah. Also, I mean, trying not to cry. That's
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like you'd be, maybe I fall down and then maybe I look up, I'm seeing there are guys there looking at me. Like, okay, I need to stay strong.
Especially the older guys.
Let me run in there and cry in there. So just trying to put those masks as well, right? Just trying to suppress those emotions and trying to maintain that precedent. Yeah.
It's very interesting. I grew up completely opposite. Yeah. I grew up...
You have to understand that is very unique, because
Yes.
majority of the homes, this is how it happens.
Yeah. So I remember. So I come from a family of brilliant people. My mom is a mathematician. So in terms of boys being better, so I'm the only boy. I have 3 sisters. my 3 sisters were always number 1.
Mm.
Always. They're all younger.
Mm.
So much so, the one who follows me was in the newspaper when she finished class 8.
Mm.
She was the top student in her school amongst the girls when she cleared Form 4. The one who follows her was number 1 in the whole country when they finished Form 4. You can imagine.
Mm.
So I grew up knowing, first of all, you're not special.
Mm.
Being the boy, you're not special.
You're the last one?
No, I'm the firstborn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're not special, number
Yeah.
1. Number 2, I remember my dad saying this. I performed really well. Oh, I was also number 1. So number 1, 2, Apple. And I remember I performed well. I took my report form, and my dad asked me, so you're looking at number 1 in comparison to whom exactly? If I took your exams or whatever results to another school, how would you perform? And I remember he told me, you're your own biggest competition. And he told me, never compare myself to other people. I need to be the best I can ever be without necessarily comparing myself.
Can I borrow your dad?
Hey.
Can I please borrow your dad?
You weren't being asked.
because-
Kwani, why was number 1?
Because
No,
now that's
no,
the
no,
thing.
no, no. My friend-
We were all number. So the thing
Yeah.
is, it was never an issue about. In fact, I remember I was number 3, I think once or twice in my. So being number 1 or 2 was not an issue.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we now become complacent
Yeah.
because we're just number 1 all the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for you, what was the most challenging expectation? And we need to, just real quick, because we need to move to the next segment.
Being true to myself.
Being true to yourself.
Yes.
Wow.
What about you,
Wow.
Emmanuel?
I think the most challenging expectation was, I don't think I was intentionally taught how to lead. I was told what I need to do,
Okay.
but I was not taught how. So
Okay.
trying to figure it out as I grow up, being protected to these people, I don't know what that means. Does
you
it
know
mean
why?
beating people? No, it's because we're told that's what men do. We protect. And my father was like that. My father protected and kept us all, right here. He held us like, he herded us, literally.
Right.
Almost to the point I felt suffocated.
Okay.
But he held his family together. He kept us. He hung out with us. He spent so much time with us.
So he was intentional.
So he was very intentional. But for us, as a kid, this guy is suffocating us, man. Just let us go and play with our people, man. So I think one of the most challenging things for me was I was told what, but I was not shown
How? Okay.
and then also given the why.
Yeah.
So it's just do it because I'm a robot.
Yeah.
So
That's what men do.
So that's what men do.
Okay.
We literally, a lot of us do that. And I think that was my biggest, and to some extent still is my biggest challenge. Because, it's a default system that you're trying to purge slowly.
True.
But gentlemen, we really need to get to go to the next segment. But real quick, if you can, just a short. How do you feel roles of men and women have changed within in today's day and age?
Okay. Man is supposed to be provider. Man is supposed to be protector. Nowadays we have wives who are presidents of countries. So what you become the president of the stronger country. So women are earning more. Women are. I am a CS. I have security. So how are you my protector? So I'm the CEO of a company. You're a lecturer in another company in a university. Now, does that mean you're lower than me because I'm better? So that, I think economically, because women have been empowered, that has challenged the status quo. Yes.
So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Just to add on that, the gender roles, those lines have been blurred over time. You're seeing that what would traditionally be male roles and women roles, now, male men are doing, what would be traditionally women roles, and women are doing what would be traditionally men roles. So those lines have been blurred over time, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I can say maybe from a personal point of view.
Right.
One of the things I remember when I was just a young married man, is we know that women are supposed to be in the kitchen. My wife, fantastic cook. But why am I slaving in the kitchen?
True.
But me, I'm a traditional guy.
Yeah.
I like a good home cooked meal. In fact, the meal that's best, that tastes the best, is the one that you slaved for hours to make, and it took time. So yeah, I get the wife who we can order takeout.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
Yeah.
We can afford it.
Yeah.
Why are we slaving?
Yeah.
So I was just like, because I like the home cooked meal, I can cook. I used to cook as the firstborn, that whole protector provider. So I'm leading and taking care of these people. So why am I not going into the kitchen? Because I'm a man? No, I'm the one who is suffering. So I am in the kitchen now, and I'm the primary cook. And my boys actually come and hang out with me when I'm cooking for the family, especially over the holidays when you've sent your nanny home. For holiday, I'm the one who gets into the kitchen. I go to the market and I pick the tomatoes, and I have a fantastic relationship with my market people. I do, Once they see me, karaoke umekuja. Tumefurahi. It's a fantastic relationship. So we have fun. So now I'm doing a role which traditionally
Was not a man's role.
is not a man's role.
Yeah.
And my family is actually thriving through it, and I'm actually enjoying doing that.
Plus,
now
there's some self-awareness that comes with that. Right?
Yeah,
There's
lots of self-awareness.
There's some valuable information you've gotten from that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to move on to the next, and we could talk forever. So, ladies and gentlemen, just hold on right there. We'll be right back with Behind the Masc. Don't go anywhere. These topics are getting really hot. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned to the channel. Gentlemen, let's get right to it. Now we've talked about and tried to define what a man is based on what we think and what we feel and what we have heard within the context of society. Now to understand ourselves, we have to recognize or look at our eyes through what society or how society sees us or influences our perspectives as men. So Joseph, let me start with you. And why do you think the roles and identities of men in society have been held to high expectations?
So, basically, I fail, my family fails. How I was designed to do things, if I don't do that, we don't know any other outcome. So if a father is supposed to provide, when he stops providing, what happens? How many times have we seen, even in the African culture, father dies and family crumbles completely because he was the leader, per se. So I think the fear of the unknown in terms of what other role or who else to play that role, as far as that is concerned, is the reason why men have been forced to live a certain way and be a certain way.
Okay. What do you think, Helen?
I think, it stems from way back, right? It goes back to, being providers, being hunters and gatherers, right? And I think over time, that has still stuck as the narrative. Like the male is the one who is the head of the household. And as a result, now the pressures that come with that is something that, they would need to address or need to find ways to cope with. So I think it stems from way back where, the man would go hunt, provide, come with the food. And over time, that narrative has stuck with us. And being head of the household, if we still use that narrative, of course, it's changing in certain aspects. I think that is where it stems from. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's also this fact of we are competitive by nature. I want to be seen as more of a man than you guys. If Joseph today came in an Outlander, I will make sure that I am getting
Prado.
a Prado. And I showed up with a Prado, you'll be like, hey, let me show you my manhood.
Right.
And you come with your disco. Then somebody else here, will come with a
Yeah.
Because the truth is, the day I rode in your car, which was not like my Paso, it made me feel less of a man, and I desired that, and I found myself doing that because my pals are doing well, and they are all talking. They're the ones who are being celebrated in society. I remember going to a function with my ex schoolmates, and I drove into that space, and it was in one of the local restaurants. And I drove into that place, and I just knew, we've hired this entire place. That means everyone here is a pal from school that I grew up with.
So you're looking at the cars.
I came with a KAN Nissan Sunny, 19 model.
It's a good car.
19 model back in those days. Bro, the cars that were in there, I felt so intimidated. Like, what on earth have I done with my life? And I think we also put that self-pressure on us because of competitive nature.
Yeah.
And I saw the next time we are coming, or rather I'm coming, at least the car would have been upgraded. At least, at whatever cost it will be, it'll be. In primary school, just right before we transitioned to high school, we always wanted to be the ones, with the hottest girl.
Of course.
And there was that competition. So would fight, and I remember I asked this girl one day, out, and I was so excited, and man, she was so gorgeous. She was so gorgeous. And the next day, somebody else who the father gives them more money asked her out, and apparently she would get more chevda from this guy from the canteen, more sausages and samosas. And guess what happened to me?
What happened?
You just give good love. That's it.
I need counseling. I need counseling.
But here's the thing, actually, now that you mentioned that, you remember I mentioned, and you guys have said, oh, I've grown up in a good home. Now, here's the thing. You grow up without a lot of expectation, right? You grow up self-aware to an extent, right? Then you go into a culture where everyone else is forced to perform. It did a number on me because now I was like, wait, so I don't have ambition? Because I was gauging that very warped ideology of competition, talking about competition and everything. And I started asking myself, so should I do that? So I tried a lot to fit in. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, when we were growing up, I was a joker because that's what made me fit in. Because I had to try as much as, because I was not brought up with people having unrealistic expectation of me, but everyone else did. And when everyone else was being gauged based on a certain way of thinking, I was always left out. And because I was always left out, my self-esteem was affected.
But I see that also in my I guess I told you guys, my father kept us. He huddled us. Really like, chicken and their chicks, the way they're constantly or ducks and their ducklings, they're always constantly together. Then what that meant is I didn't know what was happening in current, whatever current
You're in a
events.
bubble.
I'm in a bubble, so I can't engage in the conversations with the other guys. Eventually, that changed. When I got some freedom, or rather, when they got jobs which were not in Nairobi, and we were still in Nairobi. That's when I wild out.
Right.
I got crazy.
Yeah.
But I remember, I also struggled with that same thing because I wanted to fit in. There was always somebody who had a wiser, smarter, more cunning thing to say.
Exactly.
A funnier thing to say.
Exactly.
And when everybody laughs, and then you try your dad joke and it's a dad.
It's not a joke, it's just a dad.
It's a dad, yeah.
I mean, it's one of our most basic human natures. We all want to belong.
Yes, yes.
We want to be part of.
Yeah.
We want to identify with people who we feel understand us. So we want to be part of a group.
Yeah.
It's not always the right group all the time,
Yes.
right? And as we grow older, that's when we realize that. We realize that, okay, is this, does this have my best interests? Are these people supporting me?
Yeah.
Are they being the best out of me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit, all right? And then go a little bit deeper with this conversation. How did colonialism affect this? Now, this is where you guys get to talk because me, I'm not. Me, I'm I am conveniently the moderator in this one. But how did colonialism affect this? So you can answer that. Then Kevin, maybe because we had a conversation about this,
Right.
and in your field you got to see this a lot.
Right.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit of how COVID-19. I mean, that's relevant to where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And being a relationship coach, I've seen COVID-19 has really messed.
It's done a number on people.
It has
Can
done a
imagine.
number on people.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the economic, but
Yeah.
it's huge. So maybe you can tell us what colonialism has done, and then maybe Kevin, you can share with us what
Okay.
COVID-19.
Forget the politics, forget everything. Long story short, colonialism is about economics. 1884, the great partition of Africa. Fast forward, people come to Africa, and I remember there's an advert in 1935 advertising land for farming and stuff like that, for stuff to be taken back to Britain and stuff like that. But how it was sold to us was politics, economic, whatever, culture, and religion. Right. So we were forced, they came and told us, what you guys are doing is crap. This is how we need to improve your lives too. So you find, like right now, I keep saying Kente, the Maasai blanket, those are all things that came with the Mzungu. The Maasai blanket has a Scottish history. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, because think about it, that the guys of the checked clothing. Yeah, a lot of these things are not Kikuyus dressed in ngozi. Most Africans dressed in ngozi. So how does that? So they come, they tell us, you have to worship this way, you have to live this way, you have to live in a certain way, you have to earn money, you have to put money in a bank. First of all, money did not exist in our time.
It was barter trade.
Yeah. So now the definition of a man becomes different, yet remains with a fundamental ideology of you're the provider, because the man was still the provider. It's just that the roles were specified in the African culture. Okay? But now colonialism comes and says, this is the role of the man. Now, interesting thing, and this is very important. The US, the Canadas, the everything, the England,
Developed
at the time when they were bringing colonialism to Africa, the women there were fighting for their own voice.
Yeah.
Right. So we got the short end of the stick because we got it at that point where the woman was subjugated. Do you get? 1960 happens. 1960, 1970 happens where where there's now the liberation of the woman and the blah blah and everything, family planning, blah 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 and everything. It doesn't happen here. Okay? So by the time we are developing and modernizing, what was brought by the colonialist is what we stuck to.
Okay, so tell me one or two positives of that, and then the negatives.
I'm not sure I know about there are many positives, but of course, the lives that we live now have improved generally in terms of healthcare and everything. If you think about our parents, people in their 70s and 80s, they'll tell you about situation. Every family had a story of we were 9, we are now 6 because 3 died at birth, and that was kawaida. Okay? The problem is, if you think about those same fathers and mothers of ours, father is a doctor, mother is a nurse, whatever. There's never 2 doctors getting married in the 70s. It was a doctor and a nurse, or a lawyer and his secretary, you know? That was the norm. So coming down to where we are now, that we didn't grow up knowing that a woman is empowered. In fact, women did not grow up knowing that women are empowered. Women actually took that thing and said, we're going to do it. So the reason I bring up that issue is that now for us men, because we've grown up in a certain way, we've grown up knowing a man should be number 1. So a woman knows she's number 2. So when she learns to be number 1, your identity gets lost.
There's like an identity crisis
Yeah.
in a way. Yeah.
And that came specifically because of that whole culture. I've talked about it very fast. I hope it makes sense.
Sorta, kinda. We believe and trust you. But yeah, it does make a lot of sense. So Kevin, let's get to it. COVID-19.
Yeah.
What was the impact of COVID-19, especially on the men?
Yeah.
Have you seen any, being a consulting psychologist,
Yeah.
you get to, be in that space. What was the impact of COVID-19?
Yeah, there was a great impact in terms of mental health, especially in men. The pandemic
really?
came.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, men and women, but men, significantly, there was a significant impact on men.
Okay.
You see, the pandemic came with a lot of uncertainty, right? Now, certainty tends to be a basic human need for human beings, right?
Yeah.
When there's uncertainty, we tend to become very anxious. It rubs us the wrong way. It affects us greatly. Now, as a result of that, it induced a lot of mental health issues. A lot of men, there was an increase of substance abuse amongst men.
Yeah.
There are so many men that have never had the opportunity to sit down with their thoughts,
Oh,
especially, it's been a rat race.
So
Then
life has
yesterday,
calmed down.
last year,
Yeah.
when everything had
Shut
to
down.
come down,
Yeah.
People
shut
had to
down,
think.
People had to
Yeah.
think and
So
sit
you're
down with their
stuck with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Man, that's scary.
Someone was telling me, there's one patient who was telling me, I think I just realized I have a wife and kids.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like the son is about 16. The son, he's like, how is he supporting Tottenham? I'm not a Tottenham fan. When did that happen? So he felt like he's missed out on so many
Okay.
things in his child's life, in his family's life, that it was a wake-up call for him. And he actually, he was a CEO of his own company. He actually hired another CEO so that now
he spends more
he
time
spends
with his
more
family.
time with his family. You've seen gender-based violence as well.
Yeah, that's
right
huge,
on
yeah.
the rise.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's the same thing as him learning that they're different, but now he reacting different.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Sometimes, not everything is obvious. Sometimes when everything has just gone quiet, when the dust has settled, that can be a wake-up call. That can be an opportunity where, okay, your thoughts arise, and if you're present with your thoughts, that can tell you something, and you change certain things about how you're doing things. Suicide rate amongst men was quite high. I mean, men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide
Without
than
COVID.
women. Yeah,
Without COVID
Without
already.
COVID. Now imagine with COVID. I think in July there was about 400 suicides, and 80% were men.
Oh no.
Look at the police, right? The male police officers. I can't tell you how many police officers that are male, military officers that are male, that I've seen just between 2020 and now. And it's because of the uncertainty, it's because of the pressures that they've had to deal with, especially as providers.
Yeah.
Especially if you've lost your job, you've lost your business,
Yeah.
There was a lot of grief as well. So
Yeah.
a combination of all those factors
Yeah.
have really caused a lot of mental health issues amongst
And
men.
you're talking about,
Yeah.
for me, what's scary is that you're talking about those who have gotten to a realization that they need help.
Yes.
A majority
Yeah.
don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 And
Again,
to be
it's
honest,
that whole thing we said in the beginning.
yeah.
When we were talking right before the show, that we tend to want to find the solutions for ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So we don't seek help.
Yeah.
Yet half the time, if we had a conversation with the right person
Yeah.
or with anybody,
Yeah.
there's chances are they would say something that would be very helpful
Okay.
Yeah.
to us. We are not taught to do that. We are taught to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wewe ni mwanaume.
Yeah. Man up.
In
Yeah,
fact,
man up.
one of the things I hear has been happening in the GBV is the fact that, so I'm a man, a large percentage of men pre-COVID never went home before 10.
Yeah.
Now, your wife of 15 years has developed a routine, developed a culture with your absence. Then you come and impose yourself in that culture. She reacts, rightly so, and you say, based on how I know a man is in whatever, this is not acceptable. You're not supposed to react to me. In fact, it's spousal murders worldwide increased very highly last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know how true this is, and you can correct me, but I was listening to a psychologist. I'm also now a counseling psychologist, but I was listening to this psychologist who was having a conversation about that. And this is what they said. They said that a man's emotional muscle is very small. A woman's emotional muscle is equivalent to the man's physical muscle, because she's been working on it since she was a kid.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're allowed to cry.
Yeah.
You're allowed to express yourself. You can whine. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't whine. I couldn't complain. You're suppressed.
Yeah.
So we don't train that emotional muscle.
Yeah.
So when it comes to an argument and a conversation, she's way stronger. So the only
She's
way,
arguing a 3-year-old.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Emotionally.
the only way I can get back that
Yeah.
edge
Yeah.
is using the strength
Yeah.
that I have.
You see, with men, we tolerate more of a secondary emotion than a primary emotion. Like you see, anger is a secondary emotion. If I told you something that offended you right now, your primary emotion would probably be you feel disrespected, or your feelings have been hurt, or embarrassment or something. And then it will manifest into anger. That's usually the mechanism of that. For men, we always go to the secondary emotion, which masks the primary
The
emotion.
primary
Yeah.
the feeling.
It's
The
very
feeling of
difficult.
embarrassment.
You'd rather say, there's so many people, especially men, who are comfortable saying, I'm angry about this. But them saying, you hurt my feelings, you know, you're embarrassing me. It's a tall
Yeah.
order, you know.
That's actually
for
weak.
for some of them, yeah.
That's actually weak.
So it's
That's
true.
It's true. That's what men will
Emotionally,
say. That's weak.
Because
Yeah.
of suppressing over time, you're not
Yeah.
familiar with your own emotions.
Yeah.
So even it goes as far as even recognizing other people's emotions will be difficult
Yeah.
if you're not familiar with your own.
Yeah.
So that's true. That's a true statement.
That was super powerful. And I think the idea and the goal of this show is so that we can also understand that as men, it's okay to say, it's okay to have this conversation, it's okay to talk, it's okay to express yourself. It's okay to say that, yes, I'm strong in these things, but I'm also struggling in these areas. And hopefully, even as we continue, and as the season goes on, we'll be able to unmask a lot of things that we can have conversations as men, so that we can become real. Because the truth is, we are struggling quite a bit, and it is taking a toll on us. We are 4 times more prone to commit suicide as opposed to the female gender. So gentlemen, it's on us to do our part. We're here, and we're going to do our part by helping guide you through this journey. And gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being authentic. Thank you for bringing your A game with your knowledge. And I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was Behind the Masc, a show where we discuss about all things men, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Stay tuned, and God bless you.